Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for stopping in on this video. I know it's been a while and I'm sorry I've been completely inactive. I've just been dealing with some health problems. I actually filmed this video to be a New Year's Eve look. I haven't gotten around to editing it and I apologize for that. So it's a cut crease halo eye. It's cool toned and there's some glitter on the lid because, you know, New Year's Eve. So if you like this video or if you find it helpful, remember to comment, subscribe, and like it and share with your friends so that other people can see my videos. Since this is such a dramatic look, I'm starting with my eyes, and for a look like this, it's really important to prime your eyes because any creasing will show. Here, I'm using the NYX Proof It primer. This is the Mehron Celebre HD Pro Cream makeup, I believe in the shade Eurasia Ivory, which is damn near white. I'm using that to kind of clean up any stray hairs I missed under my eyebrows and to highlight my brow bone without using way too much eyeshadow. And I'm also putting a little bit of this on my inner corners because I was looking a little sleepy. I used the lighter cool tone contour shade in the NYX Contour Palette as a transition shade. I didn't want anything too warm because it wouldn't have meshed properly with the cool toned eyeshadows. A transition shade should always be as seamless as possible. You want to make sure that you're blending all the edges as well as you can because this is what's blending the rest of your eyeshadows into your skin. So it should be diffused out a little further than the rest of your eyeshadows, if that makes sense. I'm also putting this on the inner and outer corners of my eyes because this is a halo eye, and the best way to build up a deep color is to start with your lighter colors and add your deeper colors as you go and use the lighter colors to blend as you go if you need to. To deepen up the look a little bit, I'm taking one of my favorite shades from the Naked 2 palette, Tease. It's a really cool toned taupe that actually looks like it has a little bit of purple in it. So it's a really interesting shade and it's great for adding depth and shadows without going too dark too quickly. I'm putting this mostly on my inner and outer corner because in a halo eye, that's where you want the most color concentrated, but I'm also putting it through the crease to add more of a gradient there and putting it under my lash line. And then I'm taking that first brush I used to blend out any harsh edges. To further deepen the look, I took the shade Blackout from the same palette, which is just a nice, intense matte black eyeshadow. And again, I concentrated this primarily on the inner and outer corners to create that halo look. But because it's a cut crease halo eye, I'm taking this through the crease and under my lash line to add more depth there. If there's not enough depth in the crease, it's going to be harder to see that dramatic cut crease effect. So we're just going to pretend I'm in focus here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not good at filming yet. Something that's important to remember when you're working with matte, dark eyeshadows is to add a little bit at a time. Blend it until you're happy, and then add more if you want the color to be deeper. To cut the crease, I'm using my LA Girl Pro Conceal. I can't remember the name of the color. It's the lightest shade because I'm literally always the lightest shade. This is a tricky maneuver, especially for me because I have very hooded eyes. So what I did to try and make sure I'd be able to see the cut crease even when my eye is open is I kind of painted onto my eyelid, and I know I'm moving my head in a lot of weird ways, but I was trying to kind of make my eyelid stamp that concealer into my crease so I knew where I would be able to see it. And once I had all those little dots, I went through with the brush and connected them and made a much smoother, more fluid line. And after that, you can go in and start filling it in and blending it out with your finger. It's a good idea to keep this layer of concealer pretty thin. The eyelid, for most people, myself included, is an area that's just prone to a lot of creasing. So make sure you're using a concealer that's not too emollient, that lasts a long time on your skin, and make sure you're not putting on too much of it. That'll help minimize the amount of creasing you end up with at the end of the day. Once you've got your cut crease squared away, just take the eyeshadows that you've been using on your eyes and use them to make sure the concealer and eyeshadows blend as seamlessly as possible. I took that black eyeshadow again on a very small brush and outlined right against where I drew my cut crease. This is going to help clean it up, make it look sharper and more pronounced. I used then this brush, and later you'll see a small but fluffier brush to blend that eyeshadow upwards, and I also used Tease again to blend that eyeshadow further up and make it look softer and more like a gradient. This takes a lot of finessing. It's a very finicky eye look, and to be honest, I don't think I'd ever do this just to wear on my own because it just takes too long. It's too finicky. I can't do it. For that center part of my lid, I took those two silvery shades called Pistol and Verve and used a small, dense, wet brush to pack them onto my eyelid. I wanted something metallic-y and silvery. Unfortunately, the camera did not pick it up very well. I used both my fingers, and later I picked up another brush and I used that to blend the edges and just make sure everything looked polished and clean and blended and not like a hot mess. But alas, it still needed glitter. I used the NYX Liquid Crystal Liner in the shade 106 Crystal Hip, which is like an iridescent white. These don't have the best formula. They tend to peel and flake, so I would suggest using something different. But use whatever glitter you want, as long as it's safe for your eyes. Don't hurt yourself. I lined both my tight line and my waterline with a black eyeliner. I wanted the lashes to look really thick and dark, and I just wanted the look in general to be very dramatic. Unfortunately, as you can see, the camera did wash out some of the eyeshadow, which is unfortunate, but what can you do now? So when I was lining my lower lash line, I made sure to kind of be a little messy with it. I wanted some of the eyeliner to get under my lash line. Oh, good. Got it all over myself. Good job, Artie. Good job. So, like I said, I wanted it to be a little messy because I'm taking a very small brush and kind of smudging the liner under my lash line to give it a little bit more depth and smokiness. First, I took a little bit more of that black eyeshadow and set the eyeliner because this does tend to smudge on me, the Urban Decay liners, and setting it definitely helps. And then I just took whatever eyeshadow was left on the brush and used that to smudge out the lower lash line. You can do this as much or as little as you want. Dreaded winged eyeliner, I used the Cosmetics liquid liner. I struggle a little bit with this because my eyes are so hooded and it's a pain in the ass to get the wing to look right. So the way I find it to be least problematic is to start on my eyelid and use small lines to get a line across my eyelid, and then with my eye open I draw the bottom of the wing so I know where to draw it so that it doesn't get crumpled up by my eyelid and start to look really funky. I have to draw this angle out pretty straight and I can't make it thick or too long. It starts to look really weird. This is again one of those things that's going to be based on your eye shape and also your preference. Make sure you wipe away any fallout from your face before applying your foundation. Just take a makeup wipe or some makeup remover and make sure your cheeks are clean. If you don't, the eyeshadow can mix with your foundation and it makes it look really messy. For this look, I would definitely suggest picking a foundation that offers a little bit more coverage because having a very intense makeup look can kind of emphasize the look of redness and imperfections on your skin, which is not so much a good thing. I'm using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation in the lightest shade because I'm literally always the lightest shade, and I'm blending it in with the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge because it is fantastic. I'm using the same concealer I used to carve out my crease to conceal my under eyes, the redness around my nose and around my mouth, and a little bit between my brows where I get some redness. I started blending this out with the sponge, but since it is a bit of a bigger sponge, it was a little bit too difficult to maneuver around my eyes, so I switched to one of my fingers to blend it in the kind of inner corner area, and then I switched to a concealer brush to really sharpen up the wing kind of area of the eyeshadow and make sure it looked clean and a little bit sharper, and also to make sure both eyes matched. Unfortunately, I didn't get footage of that, so I do apologize. Does anyone else think I look a little bit like Edward Scissorhands here? Because I'm getting that vibe and it's not so cute on me. Because I was using a cream contour, I wanted to make sure I applied it and blended it out before applying any powders to my skin. Cream products are going to blend a lot easier over another cream product than they will over powder products because powder products are a lot drier. For this, I used the Nye Cream Contour Wheel, and I took the lightest cool tone shade and used it to define under my cheekbones, a little bit under my bottom lip, and to sharpen up and define my admittedly squishy jawline and chin. To set that under eye concealer, I used the Makeup Forever HD Loose Powder. I took a sparing amount of it because you really don't need a lot of it. It's a pretty mattifying, sturdy powder. I used the tip of the Miracle Complexion Sponge to pat that on under my eyes and on my smile lines because that's where I get creasy. And my skin is dry enough that I don't need to set this foundation all over. I then took a clean blending brush and ran it over the edge of the eyeshadow. I didn't want the line where the concealer and eyeshadow met to be too harsh. The look is still supposed to be hazy and smoky. To highlight my inner corner, I took that really light silvery shade from the Naked 2 palette called Verve, and again used a small wet brush to apply it to my inner corner. I love inner corner highlight, so I can sometimes go a little bit overboard, and I definitely applied this pretty generously and built it up until I was happy. This look it's dark and it's cool tone, so it can kind of drain your color if you don't make sure you have some brightness and color elsewhere in your face. So do this to your own comfort level, I guess. I wasn't overly focused on the mascara because I was applying false lashes. And really when you're applying false lashes, you mainly just need to focus on making sure your lashes are dark enough to blend in with the falsies and have a little bit of lift and curl so that they hold them up. This is the same mascara I use in every video because it's my favorite and I'm picky. It's the Covergirl Lashblast Volume Waterproof in Very Black. And the lashes I applied were the Andrea Strip Lashes in 91. Brows are pretty unexciting in this look. I used the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in Taupe on an angled brush from a brand I don't remember. I wanted to make sure my eyebrows were strong enough to frame my face with such a strong makeup look, but I didn't want them to be like huge power brows that competed too much or overpowered my face with such a strong makeup look. So this is kind of preference. I went for a kind of middle of the road brow, but do whatever brow you think looks best with this look, or, you know, whatever you think frames your face the best. Going back to the NYX Contour Palette, I took the lighter of the bronzer shades and used that to go over where I placed that cream contour. I also use this to add a little bit more definition to the rest of my face and to add some color back into my complexion. I'm very fair and I'm not wearing any blush or bronzer at this point, and it's really easy, especially when you're wearing such an intense look and you have very fair skin, to start looking like an undercooked pancake. So it's very important to add a little bit of bronzer and a little bit of blush to make sure you still look alive. I also like to take some of the bronzer down my neck because I feel like if I don't, I end up kind of looking like a floating head because I have the bronzer, the warmth on my cheeks and on my chin, and then I just have this pale neck and chest. Maybe it's more noticeable on pale skin, or maybe it's just in my head. You guys tell me. I took the lighter contour shade on a smaller blending brush and used it to contour my nose. I just ran it down the sides and a little bit around the tip because my nose naturally doesn't have a ton of definition to it. It's also a good idea to add bronzer or contour to your nose because it looks more cohesive than just having all of the bronzer and contour around the perimeter of your face and then the center of your face being completely bare. Because this look is pretty intense, you want to pick a blush that's a little bit more neutral, something that's not going to compete too much with the rest of the makeup. Choose a blush that looks like a natural flush on your skin tone and try not to apply too much of it to the very front round part of your cheeks, because then it'll look a little bit too much like a focal point. For highlighter, you can go as subtle or as bold as you want to. Here I'm using the NYX A Wavy Glow Liquid Highlighter in the shade Prism, which is a really nice kind of white with a pink shift, which looks really nice on fair skin. To blend it out, I used a soft synthetic highlighter brush and just blended it until the brush wasn't really that useful anymore, and after that I just kind of tapped it with my fingers to make sure it melded into my skin really well. As you can see, this isn't a really bold, in-your-face kind of highlighter, and I did want a little bit more glow, so I went over it with a bit of the Elizabeth Mott Show Me Your Glow highlighter. So really for this look, you could go with whatever lip color you wanted because it is intense, but it is technically neutral. I wanted to go with the more classic, cool tone smoky eye look, so I went with a pretty light nude. First, as a base, I used the Tarteist lip paint in the shade Rosé. And then to lighten it up in the center, I went in with the Wet n Wild Mega Last lipstick in the shade 900B, Pink Sugar. Sugar, oh honey, honey. Fun fact, when I was in first grade, our entire grade level had to do this thing called the Family Show, and that was one of the songs we had to sing, but we had to do it with sign language too. And I'm very glad no one I'm still in contact with has that on film. Anyway, you guys are done now. You're free to go, and if you liked the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. So this is the completed look. I hope you guys liked it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope all of you have absolutely wonderful, happy, healthy 2018s, and enjoy the rest of your holiday break. Thanks again for watching.